Good morning, students. Today we are going to see what are the statutory protections of paying bankers. Okay, so here the question can be: define what is paying banker, explain the statutory protections to paying bankers. Okay, now here banker, what he does, he enjoys two positions, that is as a payer and as a collector. That is, he is doing the payment also and he is collecting the money also. So here he offers these services, that is collection of bills and collection of checks. Okay, so here every banker जो है acts in two capacities, that is performs two function as paying as well as collecting bank. So here paying banker is the one on whom the drawee of the check, okay, one who is a drawee of the check. So his responsibility of making payment of the check to a true owner. So any wrong payment will make the paying banker liable to true owner of the check and also the drawer of the check. Okay, so what do you mean by paying banker? We'll see what is paying banker means. Okay, here it refers to the duties drawn by the bank with regards to the payment of the check drawn on him by the customers. Okay, so here the funds of the customer in the bank account is payable on demand by honoring the check. Okay, the payment कैसे कर सकते हैं? Only when the check is honored. Okay, so here whatever check is honored, he should first see the payment is done, whether the paying bank जो है उसके जो customers का account है वहाँ पे full amount है, insufficient balance है या नहीं. Okay, so we'll see the definition under the Indian concept. What do you mean by paying banker? So here the term paying banker in Indian context can be defined as a paying banker undertakes to honor his customer's check up to the amount credit balance in the current account of up to the limit of any agreed overdraft under the conditions stipulated in section 126, 127 and 129 of Negotiable Instrument Act. Okay, so under this section he has to act as the following. Okay, so ये जो sections है, according to this section what he has to act as. So whether the check is crossed or generally the banker on whom it is drawn shall not pay it otherwise than to the banker. Okay, so only when it is a cross check, banker should do the payment. Whether the check is crossed specifically, the banker on whom it is drawn shall not pay it otherwise than to the banker to whom it is crossed or his agent for collection. Okay, next, whether a check is crossed specially to more than one banker except when crossed to an agent for the purpose of collection, the banker on whom it is drawn shall refuse the payment thereof. So we'll see now what are the statutory protections the paying bankers. Okay, what paying bankers statutory protection? So here banker has to honor the check on demand, on hence it cannot be make detailed inquiries about the person who presents the check for payment. So he has to make the payment to the right position according to the instructions of his customer. So here the payment to wrong person will result in loss to the banker. Okay, so he should take maximum precautions to minimize the loss. So here the Negotiable Instrument Act जो है 1881, they provide some statutory protections. Okay, so under section 85 the act offers statutory protections to the banker in cases of order check. Okay, लेकिन cross check के under they don't have any this thing. So here act provides a protection to the bankers against forged endorsements. Okay, or on the order check on behalf of the payee. So section 16 provides protection to the bankers in respect of cases of forgery of the subsequent endorsement. So there are two conditions. Okay, the endorsement must be regular and payment must be made in the payment in due course. Okay, so these are situations where there is statutory protections to the paying bankers. So here Next is protection against bearer check. Okay, so what protections are there against bearer check? So where a check is crossed, generally the banker on whom it shall be protection against bearer check. So here paying banker need not verify the regularity of the endorsement or bearer check, but the payment must be payment in due course. That is, if the check is stolen, मतलब किसने चोरी किया, the banker must make payment for it, otherwise without the knowledge of such theft. Okay, so he will be discharged from his obligation and placed by virtue of the section 55(2). So here they should take bearer check है, अगर वो bearer check है, bearer check means what, any person can present it and the payment will be done. So अगर किसी ने चोरी किया, then also they don't have any right to do that, because here it is bank doesn't have any idea about the theft of the check. Next is protection against cross check. So here whether a check is crossed, generally the banker on whom it is drawn shall not pay it otherwise than the banker. जिसके ऊपर वो चेक ड्रॉ किया उसी बैंक ने पे करना है. So the banker who fails to make the payment in accordance with the direction as the funds in crossing of the check will not be entitled to debit the customer's account with the amount of such check. So here the paying banker is discharged of his obligations of the cross check, irrespective of the fact that the payment was received by the collection banker on behalf of the person other than the through owner. Okay, next, protection with regards to draft. Okay, that is, drafts are not checked. Okay, draft is something different. So here section 85 provides that whether a draft is an order to pay the money drawn by one office of the bank for the sum payable order on demand. Okay, so here purpose to be endorsed by or on behalf of the payee, the banker is discharged for the payment in due course. Next is customer signature. So here following factors are important for the banker's customer signature. That is, the paying banker must satisfy himself that the check is really on order of his customer, because he is bound to pay the customer's money only with his authority. So here customer signature plays a very important role. बैंक में customer का जो signature है, that plays a very important role. So here he should make sure that the check bears the signature of his customer and the customer's agent duly authorized for his purpose. Okay, then a signature on the check is genuine. That is, it means it is correct. So in case the joint account and in the absence of the clear instructions as to operations of the account from each of the parties concerned, the banker should safeguard himself by insisting upon the check being signed by all the parties to the account. अगर वो joint check है, then all the parties should sign the check. Next is customers and fraud signatures. Okay, so here banker must know the signature of the customer and authorized agent. Okay, जो agent है और customer है, दोनों के signature should be fed in the system. So if sorry, it should never honor the check on which the drawer's signature different from the specimen signature supplied to him. Okay, so if the signature is different, then no payment should be done. Then customer's subsequent negligence. Okay, if the duty of the custom banker to report the customer if the check carrying a false signature is presented. Okay, अगर किसी और का signature है और वो present किया, then they should inform the customer. Okay, so here it is a duty of the banker that to intimate the customer whether the check is signed by somebody else. Likewise, the customer has the corresponding duty to inform the banker if it comes to know that the check are being presented to the banker with the signature fraud. Customer also should tell the bank that there is forgery of the signature. Then when can the banker refuse to make payment? So there are some situations where customer bank can stop or refuse the payment of the check. That is, countermanding of the payment by the customer, death of the customer, insolvency of the customer, insanity of the customer, garnish order, that is court order, notice of assignment, defective title of the party, breach of trust. So under such situations, bank can stop the payment of the check. So here what are the statutory protections given? That is statutory protections is what? Here protection against bearer check, protection against cross check, protection with regards to draft, customer signature, customer and fraud signature, customer subsequent negligence. Okay, when the banker refused to make payment, that is countermanding of the payment by the customers, death of the customers, insolvency of the customer, insanity of the customer, garnish order, notice of assignment, defective title of the party, breach of trust. So these are the situations where bank can refuse to do the payment of the check. Okay, so let's see what we have learned in today's in this chapter. So in this chapter we have seen circumstances for return of the check. Okay, कौन से situation में check return हो सकता है? That is difference in amount, out of date check with material alterations, बैलेंस ऑफ ऑन अकाउंट. ओके, सो इतने सारे सिचुएशंस में चेक रिफ्यूज हो सकता है. देन राइट्स एंड ड्यूटीज ऑफ द पेइंग बैंकर. सो व्हाट आर द ड्यूटीज ऑफ द पेइंग बैंकर? दैट इज नॉट टू पे आउट ऑफ बैंकिंग आवर्स अंडर सेक्शन 65, computation of balance, secrecy should be maintained, honoring of the check, returning of the check, another duty of the banker in respect of the endorsement. Okay, then in case of illiterate person, payment in due course. Rights of paying bank are what? Demand for the protection in order to minimize the risk in payment, right to refuse the payment, right to claim the interest and penalties, right to close account, right section loans and advances. Okay, next, circumstances in which bank must refuse payment of check. Whether the drawer stops the payment on death, insolvency or insanity of drawer, on order of court, when the title is defective, when the bank may refuse a payment in following cases also, that is legal restrictions and notice of the party. Next we have learned is precautions in payment of customer check, that is legal position with respect to the collection of check, acting only as an agent, protection of bankers. Then paying banker, we have seen what is the meaning of paying banker. Then we have seen definitions. Statutory protections कौन से है? Protection against bearer check, protection against cross check, protection with respect to regards to draft, customer signature, customers and fraud signature, customer subsequent negligence, when can the banker refuse to do make the पेमेंट. ओके, इतनी सारी चीज़ें हम लोगों ने पेइंग बैंक में देखी. इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास वी आर गोइंग टू सी व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय कलेक्टिंग बैंक. ओके, सो हियर इस क्वेश्चंस में मोस्ट ऑफ द द क्वेश्चन कम्स इज the question can be, what is paying banker? Explain the duties of the paying banker. Then what do you mean by what are the precautions should be taken by the bank while doing the payment. Okay, what are the statutory protections? So such questions can come. Okay, it can come for 8 marks, it can come for long answers, or your small question can be duties of the bank. Okay, so such questions can come for the exam.